All right, so this is Half-Life Alyx. This game came out in March of 2020 as a real showcase or killer app, if you will, for VR. Everyone said if you have a VR headset for PC, this is the game that you have to get, and I can definitely see why now. Takes a little bit of getting used to at first. Obviously, the way you move around is a little bit unique in VR games in general. And while you can move around in a more, using the control stick kind of a way, it makes you feel very disoriented, very dizzy, very quickly. So it's very apparent why this kind of click snap point where you want to go to, and you sort of snap there. That kind of control scheme became common in VR games. Again, it's very apparent why, but as janky as moving may seem at first, it's not too bad once you get used to it, and it really makes up for it in everything else. The way you can manipulate objects, the way you can aim your gun, aim your flashlight with independent hands. The tracking is really good, and everything else makes up for it. The shooting feels awesome. Reloading guns feels awesome. This game is really, really neat in the way, you can get up close to everything and grab it, and everything looks really cool. And, it's hard to explain in VR if you haven't tried it. Just everything looks life-size. It looks like you're there. Everything looks like it's the proper size compared to you. And, when something's at arm's reach, it really does feel like it's at arm's reach. And when you see this stuff in 3D, it's really cool. If you haven't tried modern VR, you should definitely try it. I should point out that you're looking at this footage, what was in a window on my monitor, and I had to crop it in a little bit, so you're not seeing it at the full resolution, even for what my monitor was, and I don't know how that corresponds to what you would have seen in the headset with, two screens, one for each eye. But I also wanted to say that in the VR headset, you don't see the, overlay. You don't, right now you can see my health in the bottom left on the screen. You don't see that in the VR headset, so it's kind of weird how you see that. It's like the only person that would see that is someone that was watching you play. It's there for someone that's watching you play, but that's not there in the VR headset. I'm playing this on the Oculus Rift S, which is a cheaper option. I prefer it over the Quest. The Quest is a standalone. It's got a processor built in, and you can play it wirelessly without having it hooked up to a PC. But if you want to play these PC games and you're going to be hooking it up to your PC, I prefer the Rift S. It's just a straight cable comes out of it, hardwired, and it goes into your display port right on the back of your graphics card. No fiddling with the USB Type-C cables. It can be a little more finicky, especially with the Oculus Quest and what cables will work.
Thanks.
This is a Half-Life game, and there are lots of Half-Life type of puzzles. There's lots of those physics-based puzzles. As you would expect in any other Half-Life game, they're all in here in VR where you have to interact with things. And then you get this shotgun. Man, you've already gotten used to the fact that where the mag release button is, so on the shotgun that pops it open. Grab a couple of shotgun shells at a time out of your backpack, load them in there. For the longest time, I thought this shotgun would only hold 2 shells, but it holds more than 2 shells. You just hold 2 at a time when you're grabbing them out of your backpack. And then intuitively, I thought, I could flip this thing closed. And sure enough, that worked. I got to rack this thing, and you see the way it racks and it pulls a shell in. Again, everything's really tactile and feels real world, realistic. If you understand the mechanics of how a shotgun's going to work, or how it's going to, the slide is going to load the chamber, the next shell into the chamber. it's very cool, very intuitive. And I thought this game was going to be like, I don't know, 8 hours long. I thought, it's like a tech demo, quote unquote. It'll be a short sort of, not a full game, not a full featured game, but it is. This is like a 22 plus hour game. I am about 6 hours into it now, 5 or 6 hours into it now. I've started to encounter, the more humanoid enemies that are shooting back at you, so that gets a little bit more intense, as you can imagine. But yeah, it's a game I can't play for too long at a time, and I've heard other people say that, you get in, play it for an hour at a time, which makes for a really long game when it's 22 hours long. But, some of you might be able to sit there, and I shouldn't say sit there, stand there and play this for, hours and hours and hours at a time. But for some people, you can play like an hour at a time, and then you got to kind of get out. It's not that you get too dizzy or too disorientated. The tracking is pretty good in this. The hand tracking is really good in this. And again, if you've never played a modern VR game, you should definitely try it. Try something like this on, either the Rift S or, the HTC Vive. If you have one of these kind of headsets, this is a really cool game to experience in it. I picked it up recently on Steam. It was a Steam sale, summer sale. I forget what it was, $20 or $25 or something. So definitely worth it. It's a full-length game, 22 plus hours, and super awesome if you have VR.